Let's talk Bo Nix first. Let's talk the defense. And real quick, Washington and Oregon both have pretty much killed everyone they've played except one team. Washington was close against Arizona, and Oregon was close against Texas Tech. Texas Tech very easily could have won that game the way things were going, right? Or could have won that game, I shouldn't say easily. But both ended up winning, and then they've pretty much been destroying most other opponents that they've played. Bo Nix, Oregon. What does this Washington defense kind of present to Bo Nix? I don't think we've seen Washington's defense at their A game yet. They haven't necessarily needed to, just because they've been, a lot of those points against them have been kind of in garbage time, just because they've had some pretty big blowouts from Michigan State to Boise State. They've had some blowouts, so I think we'll see a pretty good defense from Washington this week. However, so far they've only had 6 sacks in 5 games. They've had 78 total hurries. That's with pressures, sacks, anything causing the quarterback to have some havoc back there. But I don't know exactly how they're planning to attack Oregon's offense, right? Could they, Oregon does a lot of short games. So are they going to get some pressure and threaten, give them the shot to go deep, or force them to go deep, or give them opportunity to go deep? I don't know, probably not. But regardless, I still think this Washington's defense is good. That their highest point total they've given up is 24 or 24 and 32, excuse me. And so I still think Washington's defense poses a threat, right? All right, so let's talk Bo Nix. What does he need to do against this defense? I think number one is just continue to play the game they've been playing. Continue to run the offense that they've been running. The offense has been super successful, super efficient. They had one slow game against Stanford, right? But then they got rolling and still ended up scoring 42 points. So I think you just run the offense. And what does their offense consist of? Well, number one, they rely on the offensive line. Their offensive line has been fantastic. They're only giving up 8% of pressure, or of all the dropbacks that Bo Nix has had, only 8% of those dropbacks have had pressure. That's fantastic. Anytime you're in the single digits as far as pressure you're getting on dropbacks is outstanding. So one, run your offense, rely on your offensive line. Two, I think you have to set up the deep ball at times. They don't throw deep a lot. The majority of their completions are actually behind the line of scrimmage. I think 54 completions out of the 54 completions have been behind the line of scrimmage. 105 completions from Bo Nix have been thrown 9 yards or less. That's up there. Only 23 completions, the ball's been thrown 10 yards or more. Now, there hasn't been a big need to hit those deep plays per se yet, and their offense calls to get the ball out quick, but still, they haven't really needed to take any deep shots. They've only had 8 completions of 20 yards or more downfield, which actually is pretty good. He's actually been pretty good when they've done it. He's actually been excellent, probably, right? When they've taken those shots, they just haven't really needed to. So, do they need to hit deep shots to win this game? I think if you run the offense, you can hit it. You can hit some here and there. I don't think necessarily need to. Bo Nix has been extremely accurate, 80% completion percentage. The ball comes out quick, like we just talked about. Balls behind the line of scrimmage, balls thrown, in that 0 to 9 yard range. And then when the DBs creep in, when the opportunity presents itself, is when Bo Nix takes that shot. And like we said, only 23 completions of the ball thrown 10 yards or more, but they haven't needed to. So maybe you need to against Washington. I don't know. But I think if you run your offense, you're going to have some success. And then the play action attack. Bo Nix has been great on play action. He's 47 of 61, 10 touchdowns, right? So 10 of his 15 touchdowns have come off play action, 588 yards passing. A lot of the play action is those quick screens that they do, or the ball is getting out quick and they have a quick fake to the running back. But still, Bo Nix has run that offense outstanding, very efficient. The ball comes out quick. The deep shots are thrown when necessary, but the defense presents himself, right? So keys for Bo Nix, I think it really comes down to just run the offense. Just run the offense that you've been running. Let the DBs kind of creep forward in all those short games. And then when it calls for it, throw a deep ball, right? All right, so let's move on to Michael Penix and what he needs to do against Oregon's defense. Oregon's defense has looked really good in every game except that Texas Tech game. But against Tech, they still had 3 interceptions, I believe. Like, they're still getting pressure on Tyler Shuck. There were just some bigger plays, and Shuck was able to run the ball and have some success against them. But overall, the Oregon's defense has been stout. I mean, everyone watched the game against Colorado, and they saw how good they were, right? So real quick, let's look at some stats. Every game every game they've played besides the Tech game, they haven't given up more than 10 points, right? So outstanding there. They have 19 sacks. And yeah, a lot came against Colorado, but they have 19 sacks. They've got 4 interceptions. 3 of those come against Tech, I believe. But they're going to want to get pressure. I think you know that they're going to want to get pressure and kind of cause some havoc on Michael Penix. They're not going to want him to be able to sit back and hit those deep shots that he's been able to hit. So they're going to want to get pressure. So what does that mean for Penix? What does that mean for the Washington offense? How can you have success against Oregon's defense? Well, I think number one, the ball come out quick. Get the ball out quick for Penix. Kind of what Oregon's offense is, but I think you get the ball out quick if you're Penix. And I'm not saying you don't take those deep shots, because that's part of their offense. That's why they're so good. Like Michael Penix is tied for number 1 in the nation when it comes to completions of balls thrown 20 yards or more downfield. That's outstanding. He's been extremely accurate doing that as well. It's not just like he's throwing a bunch and happened to hit him. He's 20 of 38 on those type of passes for 712 yards and 4 touchdowns. So I think if you're Penix, you don't necessarily try to get away from the deep ball. But if Oregon's defense knows he's been successful pushing the ball downfield, they know they have several solid weapons, several solid receivers to throw to. So they're probably going to limit that, at least at first, right? Or at least try to. So I think if you're Michael Penix and you're Washington, I think you get the ball out quick, you get some underneath type throws, get some underneath type of completions going on. And then kind of like we talked about with Bo Nix and Washington and the Washington defense, in hopes that Oregon's defense kind of creeps up. And that's when you take your deep shots, right? Another thing about Washington, their offensive line has been great as well. He's only been under pressure 17% of his dropbacks, which is pretty good. It's not as good as the Oregon's offensive line, but their offense is a little different when the ball comes out so quick, mostly every play, right? 17% pressure on dropbacks is still pretty good. So the offensive line has been great for Washington as well. And Michael Penix, he's been able to distribute the ball throughout the entire field. So I think continuing to do that against Oregon's defense could be key as well. It's kind of similar to Oregon's offense, right? You just run the offense that you've been doing and do it better than the defense that you're playing against. But real quick, Michael Penix, the ability to distribute the whole field, I think, is valuable. He has right under 2,000 yards passing, 1,999, I believe, or right around there, if I'm not mistaken. 943 of those yards have been thrown outside the numbers. 1,061 yards have been between the numbers, so more middle of the field type throws. So it's been pretty even. Most of the time, you don't see those numbers that closely together. Most of the time, it's between the numbers are going to be a lot higher. But the fact Penix has been able to put the ball anywhere he wants it, he's been able to distribute the ball the entire field. Those numbers are pretty even from outside the number throws to inside the number throws. That's going to force the defense to defend the whole field, which can be tough, obviously, right? So if you're Penix, number one, you get the ball out quick. Number two, continue to distribute the ball throughout the entire part of the field. Or if Oregon is giving you part of the field, he's going to be able to maximize that, right? And then number three that we talked about, the biggest takeaway is just to run your offense. Just run your offense just like you've been doing. Run your offense like we talked about with Oregon, just like we talked about with Nix and Oregon. Not to mention your receivers. Let your receivers go win some matchups. You got several NFL receivers out there. Let them go win those matchups, right? But big takeaway for, I think, both teams, both from Nix, both from Michael Penix, is run your offense, get the ball out quick, let the DBs, opposing DBs, dictate when to take those deep shots, especially if you're Washington. Like, you've had so much success, but you don't want to force anything just because you've had success in the past. This is the best team you faced. So I think you get the ball out quick if you're Penix, so the DBs creep in, and then you take your shots deep there. It's super impressive numbers on Penix as well. I know we mentioned it, but the fact that he has so many yards outside the numbers and inside the numbers, I think is pretty impressive. Like, a lot of times you look at quarterbacks and they might have 70-80% of their throws or passing yards inside the numbers, right? That doesn't always mean middle of the field. It just means the field where the ball is going maybe isn't pushed outside as much. So the fact that Penix is almost at 50% on outside number throws and inside number throws, I think is pretty impressive. Going to be a really exciting game, really exciting matchup. I think really similar teams. That's why the spread's so close, right? I think it's 3 for Washington right now. So meaning if you're a neutral field, it's basically a pick 'em. So going to be a fun game for sure. Again, keys for Nix. We'll kind of wrap it up here with this game and move on. Keys for Nix: run your offense. What have you been doing? Well, play action's been working great. The ball's been getting out quick. You're extremely accurate. There haven't been a ton of downfield throws. Like we said, only 23 completions when the ball's thrown 10 yards or more. But I think to win the game, there's probably going to have to be a few more completions pushed downfield for Oregon to win. And that's okay, right? That you run your offense, the DBs creep up, that's when you take your shots. Penix, similar to Nick's, even though you've had more than twice the completions of the ball throwing 20 yards or more, I still think the ball comes out quick. You try to slow down that pass rush of Oregon, distribute the ball to the whole field, and then give your receivers a chance to go win those matchups, right? Super exciting game. Again, we don't do a ton of Pac-12, but with Oregon and Washington and two of the best quarterbacks in the nation playing, we definitely wanted to deep dive that. All right, so let's go move on to Texas.